Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my glass studio. You know, I'm sure this happens to you. It happens to me. It's very disappointing when you have something you've made, you love it, and then a little while after it's been made, something happens. Like this project right here. This beautiful, sensational sunflower, for some reason, has developed a crack right here. You can see that? There's a line that goes from here, and then there's a second crack there. And I don't know why that is developing. It's quite disappointing. So, as you can tell, there's quite a bit of detail here and quite a bit of effort that went into making this project. So,
one of my favorites.
One of Nikki's favorites. So what I'm going to do is, rather than just let it break or rather than do nothing with it, I'm going to try to salvage it. So what I'm going to do is put it back in the kiln to the slumping temperature, let it flatten out, then I'll refuse it to a fusing temperature, take it out, I'll put it back in a mold and slump it again. And hopefully we can reclaim this piece and use it because it's too beautiful just to throw away. So that's my plan for this one. So you can unslump something. If you slump something in a certain way, you don't like it, put it back in and do the slumping program again, just on flat. Get that piece flat again and try something else. Now, every time you fire something, an additional time, you're risking breaking it, you're risking devitrification, you're risking, your work. But if you don't like it, you might as well do that, and then you're also learning something. So I had this one project. I was making it for one of my videos. I slumped it. I tried a new slump method, and it came out just weird looking. I was like, oh. I put a lot of work into that. I really liked the piece, but now I just blah. So I was like, well, I'm unhappy with it. I can either look at it all the time and say, oh, I'm unhappy with it, or I can do something about it. So I put it back in the kiln, unslumped it, re-slumped it over something I had used before, and I like it now. I really love it. So I'm really happy I went through that extra effort. And I learned that by risking the project. This piece I made last year about this time in the spring, and it's these adorable little eggs, right? Little seasonal eggs. And I held them together with murini and twisted cane. Well, I slumped it, then slumped it. So these eggs are supposed to be in contact with the center right here. You see here, here, and here? Well, they're supposed to be in contact with the center. They're supposed to be in contact with each other by this murini and these two twisted cane. They're supposed to be in contact right here. But what happened was, when I slumped it into kind of a steep mold, like think of something like an ice cream bowl that's kind of deep. And when I did that, there wasn't enough contact and it separated. And I got this gap here, and I don't like it. So I unslumped it. And now that there's so much space there, what I think I'm going to do is cut these apart with a saw, put it back together, refuse it, and then slump it in something a little bit shallower. So that's my plan. So here again, I've had this sitting in my drawer for a year now, and I'm looking forward to putting it on my counter and enjoying it in the spring. So I decided it's time to take it out and rework it. And hopefully, we'll all learn something from the process. I'm pretty satisfied with the contact that I have in this area, although that one came off too. So I think what I'm gonna do is cut these apart. I may grind them a little bit to get them tighter to try to get everything to fit back together. So I'm going to start with this one right here. Well, actually this one needs to come off too because it's not even close to that white piece of glass. So this part's going to get a little noisy. So I'll talk when I got the saw turned off. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to put this down. And you know what I'm going to do, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to put on an additional pair of glasses, because sometimes this thing right here is difficult to see through once the water starts shooting, and I may put it up. And if I do that, I want to make sure my eyes are protected.
Give me some too.
Okay, here, I'll give you the blue pair because Nikki loves blue. All right, and she's very smart to consider her eyes as well. All right, safety, remember, safety. All right, so I don't know how this is going to go. We're testing it and trying it together. So let's go ahead and get started. I mean, right now I don't like it, so I have really nothing to lose. Worst case scenario, I could just cut all the little eggs apart and start over. I don't really want to do that, but let's just start cutting and see what happens. All right, so what I've concluded is I'm going to take off, as I'm kind of going through this, I'm going to take off all these little extra pieces, and we will rethink that connection after I put these back together. So I'm going to cut them apart. Probably, see how we have a cut edge here. I'm going to take that to the grinder and grind that to make it a uniform shape. Right here I got a little bump. So I'm going to cut these all apart. I'm going to regrind them. I'm going to keep all the pieces, keep all the eggs, keep the center, and I'm just going to kind of rethink how these are connected. I may do it exactly the same way, or I may try something that's a little sturdier, a little stronger, but I really did love the delicacy of that. So actually these are all pretty good. Well, let me just take this over here to the grinder, show you what that'll look like after we grind. So here's my little egg. Oh, it's kind of slippery. All right, I'm happy with that. There's a little bumper here. All right, I'm happy with that. Okay, you know, I feel like this is a good place to work from. So I am going to cut all these apart. I'm going to cut all the little tabs off. I'm going to end up with my little eggs like this again, and then we'll lay it out and we'll go from there. Well, cutting the little eggs apart was not that bad. I was kind of dreading doing that, thinking it would be time consuming and not so fun. It really wasn't bad. They cut apart pretty quickly and easily. Then what I did is I went around each of the eggs and I ground them to give them a nice smooth finish and give them nice edge quality so they're all uniform. Then I laid them out. I also ground that round white circle in the middle. I laid them out and I decided I'm going to, so what I did last time was I fired the eggs independently, each egg by itself, and the circle in the center by itself. Then I put them all together and I tack fused it together. What I think happened was there was not enough contact points and it was a tack fuse and the weight of those eggs just kind of pulled it apart. So this time what I'm doing differently is I'm going to full fuse them together side by side. I went ahead and added a piece of white Murini between each of them near the bottom and also up halfway up kind of where the shoulder might be. I'm thinking these should melt down, they should spread a little bit, everything should have really good contact and be really strong. So come over here and take a look at this before we fire it. I've got it in my kiln on a primed kiln shelf. I'm going to fire this to a full fuse temperature. See, these are the little Murini that I added. I've got one between each of them here, kind of up near the shoulder. So there's a contact point here, 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 and here, and here on each one of them. Also going to a full fuse, these should spread out and maybe fill the space, maybe not fill it. They should spread out here. It's unlikely they'll fill all that space, but because of the higher temperature and because of the layout, I'm thinking it should be really strong. One thing I'm hoping does not happen is that the pieces become distorted going to a full fuse temperature. I want the eggs to kind of retain their nice smooth egg shape. So that's our big question. Will we gain strength but lose, design? The shapes of the pieces, will they become sloppy looking? I don't know. I'm firing this to a full fuse, but a little bit lower than usual. Usually a full fuse at 1465. I'm going to fire this about 1440, a little lower, so hopefully we don't lose any definition or shape. It doesn't spread out. So give it a little kiss. Fire well, my darling. I'll close it up. Fire this and come back. Look at it when the kiln is cool. All right, let's check out these Easter eggs now that they've been fused together. Oh boy, look at this. Very nice firing. Look, we got great contact right here, great contact right here. So I think this is a much stronger, sturdier project than it was before. So I'm confident that slumping this now will give me a really beautiful, sturdy project that I can, pack away each year and then, bring it out seasonally whenever I want to use it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on a mold. So let's go ahead and take this kiln shelf out. Take these out of here. There we go. Grab my mold over here. Put this in there. There we go. Center that in the mold. looks pretty good. Now we'll go ahead and take this to the slumping temperature. I've got this beautiful sunflower here. I'm going to go ahead and put it in this kiln on top of a primed kiln shelf, and I'm going to fire it to a slumping temperature to flatten it out. Then we're going to refire it to a full fuse temperature and reslump it. My concern about slumping it now and slumping it back to flat is that that crack might expand and the pieces will break apart, and I'll have either two separate pieces in the kiln when I open it, or a gap in somewhere between the leaves and the center of the flower. I don't know if any of that is going to happen, but I feel like because the piece is broken and I have already put a lot of time and effort to it and I really like it, that it's worth it to me to risk that to try to save it. If it breaks, I don't know, we might be cutting up, making little, I don't know, sunflower pendants or something, or a mosaic with it. Who knows? We're going to fire it and find out. So we're going to close the kiln. We're going to wish and give it the best and hope it comes out looking nice and flat and intact when we open the kiln. All right, let's check out our spring egg basket here. It was firing overnight. Slumped this to a slumping temperature, and look, came out great. Love it. It's very sturdy. I love that about it. I love that I was able to salvage all of these eggs that represented quite a bit of material and quite a bit of time. And it still looks light and airy, and it still has a nice festive look to it. I love the nice shallow curvature of this bowl because I feel like it'll show nicely on the table. You get to, from in a lot of different perspectives, from low or high, you get to see all those colors in that design. I love the freeform shape. I also love the colors. A lot of them are opaque. I love the twisted cane and Murini in combination. I think that adds nice touch, nice detail. And because of these colors and those details, I think this will show nicely on a table or countertop or wherever you want to put it, pretty much in any location to bring that little festive spring flair into your environment. So wonderful piece. Love the fact that we were able to salvage this and get something that is beautiful. Don't throw it away. That's the topic here. So we took the sunflower that had a crack in it, developed a crack somehow for some reason, put it in the kiln and unslumped it. Now what happens when heat comes in contact with a crack, what do you think happens? It expands. Let's see what happened in here. Oh boy, yep. We have this crazy new development in the project, this crack that is not attractive at all. And if you look closely, it looks like it continued to crack right here when it heated, but it kind of melted back together. So the project is nice and sturdy. That's good. There's no longer any crack in it. There's just this big gap. So I think what I'm going to do is cut the project here, see if these fit back together. If they do, I'll slump it back, fuse it back together and add more frit to hide that. If not, maybe there's another leaf here or something. So overall, I'm pleased that it's flat. I'm pleased it didn't break apart completely. And I think no matter what happens, I can salvage this part of the flower, even if I just put a big leaf here and call it done. So we're going to take this to the saw, cut this up, and then go from there, see what we're going to do after that. All right, so we're going to take the saw and cut this off here and then see what that shape looks like. Because I have this up to see better, I'm going to put another layer of protection on my eyes with these safety glasses. And Nikki likes to wear some too. So here you go, Nikki.
Yeah, eyes are expensive.
And we need them to see our art. She's poking herself in the eye with the ends of the glasses right now. So I got to enjoy that. Sorry you didn't. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cut this part and see what happens. You ready? Let's do it. All right, so that worked out pretty well. Let's see what happens when we just put this back together. You know, I think we're going to take this to the grinder. Let's move this out of the way. Let me move my light back a little bit. Okay, so let's double check the grinder has water. Yep, there we go. So what I'm going to try to do is grind the two of these so they They're pretty close, but they need to mesh better. And even if there's a gap there, that probably is not a problem. So let's just see what happens. The other interesting thing about grinding something that is has this, beautiful edge is it's slippery. Your hands are wet, the glass is curved, and it can be hard to hold on to that. So be careful about that. Oh, look, it's not too bad. Not too bad a fit. So I think I like that better. And maybe we stuff something in there like a leaf. Let's see, how can we, all right, so let's, what we're gonna do is dry these off. A trick to getting two pieces to fit nicely is to, if you're not sure where to grind or how to grind, dry the glass off, take one of the pieces and place it over the top of the other and then trace it. And that'll give you the shape that you need. So if we like the shape on this part, we put it on top like this, okay? So let me grab a Sharpie. We'll mark that. I'm also going to grab my lip balm. Be right back. All right, so we've got this piece and this piece. We're going to put this one. We're going to put this one behind this one. All right, like that. All right, it's a little tricky here because we're working over by the grinder. And then I'm going to, this will be a lot easier on the table, but I don't want to go back to the table right now. All right, that didn't work. We're going to have to put this on the table. We're going to put it on the table right here. Move stuff around a bit. There we go, okay. We're going to put this down. I'll put this on top of it. Like that. And then I'm going to trace it. Okay. So I basically want to grind that shape and that amount of glass off of this piece, and then the two should fit really nicely, in theory. Okay. Let's give that a go. Okay. Look at that. Fits like a puzzle. Perfect. All right, now we're going to refire this to a full fuse temperature with some frit in here, and we'll bring that over to the kiln. We'll put that back together. I've taken the sunflower, the two pieces. They fit pretty well together right now. I'll put them on a primed kiln shelf. And when this was made, the pieces were side by side. There was not one big piece of clear cut on the bottom of this irregular shape. So this is similar to how it was assembled in the beginning. And we're going to take this powder red frit. It's transparent, similar to what I used here. And I'm going to fill this in, fill a little bit in here, and then we're going to put it in the kiln. We're going to take it to a full fuse temperature. Now when you're working with the powder frit, you want to make sure that you protect yourself from the dust. So I'm wearing this mask. And I'm going to start with a small amount and then add more as I go along. There we go. All right, I'm going to take this brush and kind of, bring it back and fill in that crevice. Now, I've got a lot more frit here than I did on the other pieces. So what I think I may do is try to keep this kind of consistent. Go ahead and add more frit all the way around. And that way, hopefully, it'll help hide that there's something a little different going on over here. I'm going to clear off this center area with my brush and move this around a little bit. Okay, there we go. That looks good. Bring this back. Well, all right, first we're going to bring this back and tamp it down and kind of move it all the way around, get it sort of even all the way around. Here we want it thick because of that opening. And then here we just want it to try to create some sort of uniform look all the way around. So I'm kind of using the brush to tamp it down. That looks pretty good. Let's bring this back a little bit. I like to have a variety of different little brushes in my studio for this reason, because sometimes one shape works better than the other. All right, let's bring that around. There we go. Okay, now we're going to bring the brush in to create these nice little striations where the color is deeper and denser towards the center of the flower. Now, this may not come out exactly the way the first one did, but that's okay because I would much rather be able to, reuse this in some way and just have to throw it away. So it's not, Nikki says all the time, it's not bad, it's not wrong, it's not a mistake, it's something new. Well, we've got something new here. All right, I'm going to leave it like that. Right here, got a little bit of overflow. Now this is a transparent red. So if it overflows on this color here, it's probably not going to show. It'll just get absorbed by that color because this color is darker. So that's good. That's why you might want to use transparent over an opal red, which would stand out and you would see it. So I'm pleased with this. We're going to go ahead and put it in the kiln and take it to a full fuse temperature. And then we'll see what we have. All right, let's see how this sunflower turned out. Oh wow, it's got a lot more color than it did before, which I think is absolutely fine. Look, the little bit of a line here and here, but it's a big improvement over the way it was. I don't think it's quite as obvious as it was before. Got a lot more color here, but I like it. Yeah, I think that's very pretty. So, okay, we're gonna call this firing done. Take this out of the kiln and take these out. Put this mold in, and we're going to slump the sunflower to give it some shape. Put that back in there in the mold, and there we go. Get that closed up, and oh, I'm really pleased with the way this is coming out, and I'm thrilled I'm able to salvage the sunflower. There we go. All right, fire away, beautiful. Here we are. Let's open up this kiln and see how this sunflower fared. Ooh. That's very, very red there around the middle. I don't necessarily mind the color so much, but gosh, look. I can see the scar where that break was. Look, you see that right there, the break? Ooh, not loving that. It kind of looks like a injured sunflower. So, let's see what the back looks like. Yep. Now the back I don't really care about because I'm not really going to see that, but the front, that bothers me. So, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to fire it again. What the heck, right? I'm going to put a piece of paper in this time rather than prime the shelf. Put the sunflower back in there. And this time I'm going to use opal orange. I mean, what the heck? Not a fan of that. I'm using powder, so it's nice and fine. And I'm going to go around here and add that for right beside the kiln here. There we go. Again, what I think is kind of an even amount all the way around. Better take that plastic out of there. Then we will smooth that out. Oh, let's go ahead and just dab that, pat it down. Like I get a fatter brush to do that patting and stomping. I think this will work better. There we go. Kind of scoot it out. Yeah, there we go. Alright, we're going to interfere with that circle shape a little bit here, but that's alright. A little different here. Ooh, look at that. Okay. Go ahead and wipe this a little bit more to get that circle a little cleaner. Oops, there we go, making a mess there. I'm very good at making a mess, just so you know. Alright, there we go. I'll get that over here. There we go. Okay, that's cool. I'll leave it like that. Alright, so I've decided, after thinking about it a little bit, I'm going to leave this real heavy frit there. Actually, add a little bit more right here where that crack was. That blemish in my design. I didn't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. If I don't like it, I'm not going to love it. So I want to love it. Right? We all want to love our pieces. So you might be thinking to yourself, how often are you going to refire this thing? And am I worried every time I refire it? Now, yeah, I'm worried every time I refire it. It might come out terrible. But guess what? I don't like it. So if I don't like it, it just, every time I look at it, it kind of irks me a little bit. So I know I don't really have this shape quite right, but I'm not even worried about that. The shape, at this point, I just don't want to see that scar. So I think I'm just making more of a mess here. So let's just leave it like that. All right, so I'm going to leave that big heavy thing there. Crazy, call me crazy. All right, now I'm going to take some frit and this sifter, and I'm going to sift, this is orange opal. I'm going to soften that edge by sifting this orange opal all the way around. Not really sure how this is going to work. So, oh boy, it's a little humid today, so the stuff is not coming out of the sifter as good as it could, you know, as smoothly as it could. But hey, you know, at this point we're in deep, so we're going for it. I'm going to get a little bit thicker coverage here. I have no idea what this is going to do. Well, actually, with, you know, with some experience, I have an idea what this is going to do, but well, let's find out, right? Okay. Let's put that on there. And you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking a little bit of yellow might be fun here. Let's come back. Oh yeah, this is a yellow transparent fine. Just for the heck of it. Let's break up some of that yellow we got going on there. Change the color a little bit. It's a little awkward working here in the kiln, but oops. Okay, there we go. That's working. Sure, let's just do another splash somewhere else. Let's make it look like that was intentional. All right, sure, there we go. Let's put a splash right there where that other stuff was. Sure, why not? Okay, now we're just really totally, we've stepped over the edge. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. All right, taking this away. That's a transparent yellow put on top of the orange to give the orange a little variation, make it a little bit mottled. Now I'm going to take this out of the kiln. We gotta make sure, you know, if you put stuff in the kiln while you're working, you gotta make sure you take all that stuff out. I'm going to take this skinny little brush and pull it through the frit. Try to create those veins I had earlier that I really enjoyed and liked. So I'm going to try to bring those back. And I'm keeping this area really thick on purpose to hide that, you know, blemish we have over here. All right, this is fun. All right. So by drawing the brush this, we get these soft transition lines and soft color changes that we're looking for that make this really pretty. We've got some red popping out there, so we maybe want a little red popping out over here too. A little red popping out over here. And all right, so a little mess here in the middle. At this point, I'm not going to worry about that. If I can hide that blemish over here and just change up this design a little bit, that's preferable over having, you know, that visual thing that just draws your attention straight to it and you lose the beauty of the rest of the flower. All right, so we're going to call this done, close the kiln, fire it to a full fuse temperature, and hope for the best. There we go. Welcome back to the studio. So we have some interesting results here. The Easter eggs, when I put them, reassembled and put them back together with these little miorini between them, there are now no gaps there. There's visual hole because of the clear in the middle, but there aren't any gaps here like I had before, and there's no gaps here. So I loved that lacy thing about those little openings, but what I didn't like was that the project was not safe and secure and sturdy. So the design's a little different, but it's extremely sturdy right now. It looks great. It's even so adorable and cute on the back side. And so in the overall scheme of things, sturdy and durable to me is more important than the aesthetic of those little openings. So I've made other pieces that are woven with openings, and those are fine. They're straight because they had more contact. They're more physical contact between the pieces because they were overlapping. On this project, all the pieces were side by side. So the contact had to come from doing a full fuse so that they would melt together and spread a little bit and have greater contact between the pieces. And then I did a shallower slump this time than I did the original time, first time. And I'm thrilled with it. It's adorable. I've had it on my kitchen counter all week and I really enjoy it. I love the colors. I love the festiveness of it, the spring feel, the design, the openness of the twisted cane. Now I want to point out something. The greater number of times you fire something, the more likelihood you'll get devitrification. See how this piece right here is really shiny? But these pieces are a little bit cloudy looking on the surface. This one's shiny, that one's a little cloudy. That's the forming of crystals on the surface due to firing this so many times. Now, again, in the overall scheme of things, when that's on the counter, it just shines, it looks beautiful, no big deal. But something to keep in mind, every time you fire something, you risk causing, hopefully you solve a problem, but you also risk creating a new problem or a new issue. So, thrilled with this one. Yay. All right. This one. Hold on, we got a plane going over. This one, the coloring is much more intense than it was before because I wanted to hide the visual crack that was there, which the crack was actually like right here. I don't even know where it was anymore because it's hidden so well. The additional firings though, because I used a powder here, it created a little bit of a matte finish in this area where before it was shinier like over here. The other thing I noticed happened is some of the clear base seemed to wick out from underneath the color. So I have this clear rim in some areas that I don't remember having before. So that's another variation. So we solved the one problem by sealing the one crack. But we have a new development. A new development. Yes, a new development. So I'm showing this to Joe saying, oh, I'm so thrilled. It came out beautiful. I put it back in the house. We can enjoy this piece. He said, oh, wow, it looks great. What does the backside look like? And look what we have here. A brand new stinking crack. This was the original one. Look at this additional one happening here. That is so disappointing. This project right here represents, oh my gosh, 6 firings at least. And then in the end, to have that happen, disappointing. So, topic here was don't throw it away. This one's getting thrown away. Sometimes we have good, sometimes we have bad. It's kind of the luck of the draw in the studio. We just looked to see if this was glass I recently purchased, and I don't think it is. I think it's glass I've had on my shelf for quite a while. So, as far as I'm concerned, it should have been compatible. I'm not sure what happened here. I've done this type of construction on other pieces with great success. I've used this clear for all of my projects, so I don't think it's that. The crack isn't really consistent with anything either. At this time, it's not consistent with going the yellow around this purple color. It's not consistent with the leaves. It's just randomly screwing this project up in a way that is just making me very unhappy. So, I'm sorry to say, it's going in the garbage. Say bye to the sunflower. Sensational Sunflower was a sensational learning tool for us, but as far as the sunflower goes, it's not going to stick around here because, I only want something that is strong and durable and going to stay intact. This would be so disappointing if you offer to give it to a friend as a gift, to have that happen. So one of the key things you want to try to develop in your studio is consistency, reliability, and results that are continually good in your studio. So when you have something like this happen, it makes you wonder, was it the yellow? Was it the clear? Was it the frit? I've used all these materials in combination before. Why did it break this time? Sometimes the fusing gods are just not with us. It happened to be on this project. So I'm sorry that this was the outcome for this project for myself and for you, because I really wanted to show you that you can salvage something. You can refire something. Don't hesitate to refire it. Now, before I did all these refirings to try to salvage that first crack, I didn't like it and I would have gotten rid of it. I used 3 or 4 more firings. I used more material. I used time at the saw. I used the energy of my kiln. That's disappointing. Would I do it again? Yes, absolutely. I would do it all again to try to salvage this piece. But now at this point, you get to a certain point where it's like, no more, done. And Nikki suggested I make a mosaic or something out of it. But when you get to this point on something, you just don't even want it around anymore, So that's where it is. I'm not going to put another ounce of energy into this project because I feel like at this point it would be a waste of time. So I hope you found this helpful. I hope you enjoyed, seeing how we could salvage this one. I hope you learned something from this one. I can't really give you any information as to why it happened because I don't know. So when that happens in your studio, try to work with it a couple times. After that, let it go. let it go, let it go, let it go. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Thank you for following, subscribing, commenting, liking. We appreciate all that. So please continue to do that. Like, follow, subscribe. We're enjoying having new members join the YouTube channel. We're increasing by numbers every single week. We're getting so close to 10,000 followers. Help us get there, please. Consider becoming a premium video member. We'd love to have you. New courses coming out all the time, full-length courses, start to finish, how to step-by-step construction, how to build projects, plus a printable pattern ebook with firing guides, color pictures, helpful hints and tips, everything you need to complete those projects. So become a premium video member today. Looking forward to that. And until next time, happy fusing.